revenue and grants is estimated at 42.616.8 million Ghana cedis. Taxes on goods and services are estimated at 13.9 billion Ghana cedis, representing a 13.3% increase over the provisional 2016 and 40.3% of the estimated total tax revenue for 2017. International trade taxes are estimated at 7.1 billion, representing 3.5% of GDP and 20.6% of total tax revenue. This estimate represents a 1.1% increase over the provisional outturn 2016. The significance of this tax type emanates mainly from additional 1 billion Ghana cedis in tax measures that will be realized as savings from the reduction in the amount of import exemptions granted in 20 fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, non-tax revenue is estimated at 2.7 billion Ghana cedis, representing 15.3% of domestic revenue. An amount of 3.4 billion is expected to be retained by MDAs for the funding of the activities, and the rest lodged in the concert fund. Of the total amount estimated for non-tax revenue, an amount of 1.7 billion is estimated as non-tax petroleum revenue. Mr. Speaker, grants from development partners is estimated at 1.5 billion, equivalent to 0.8% of GDP. Resource allocation for 2017. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure, including provision made for the clearance of arrears and outstanding commitments in 2017, is estimated at 58.1 billion, equivalent to 28.6% of GDP. The estimated expenditure for the year represents a 0.7% increase over the outturn for 2016. Amount 0.7 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 1.8% of GDP and 6.4% of total expenditure, will be used for the clearance of arrears and outstanding commitments. Mr. Speaker, provision has been made for the clearance of up to 20% of the outstanding claims from previous years, whilst we await the outcome of a special forensic audit of these outstanding claims. Mr. Speaker, compensation of employees is estimated at 16 billion Ghana cedis. Of this amount, 14 billion equivalent to 6.9% of GDP. Expenditure on goods and services is estimated at 3.5 billion, representing 1.7% of GDP. Total interest payments estimated at 13.9 billion, represents 23.9% of total expenditure and is equivalent to 6.9% of GDP. Of this amount, domestic interest payment constitutes 80.5% of the total interest payments and amounts to 11.2 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the existing legislation that have underpinned the estimation of grants to other government units over the years is being reviewed to break the cycle of rigidities in the budget. Consequently, grants to other government units comprising statutory payments into the National Health Insurance Fund, Ghana Education Trust Fund, the District Assembly's Common Fund, Road Fund, Energy Fund, transfer to Ghana National Petroleum Company, retention of internally generated funds by MDAs and other earmarked funds, has been constrained to a ceiling of 25% of all our tax revenues. The total allocation to other government units is 9.7 billion. Mr. Speaker, in addition to the significant tax incentive granted in this year's budget, an amount of 241 million has been budgeted in social benefits to assist consumers of electricity and transfers for social protection. A total amount of 7.1 billion has been allocated for capital expenditure. Of this amount, 38.9% will be financed from domestic sources and the remaining from foreign sources. Mr. Speaker, based on the revenue expenditure, the 2017 budget will result in an overall budget deficit of Ghana cedis 13.2 billion, equivalent to 6.5% of GDP. Financing of the deficit will be from both domestic and foreign sources. We will also use direct and see local content policy for government product skills and opportunities for industries, minimum capital strength exchange, exempt the financial services industry from the Financial Services Act tax, as I've mentioned, encourage a capital market content policy that enjoins companies operating in the energy and oil and gas, financial services, telecom, mining sectors to list a minimum percentage of their shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange within 5 years of commencement of operations, and divest governments holding in some SOEs with a view to ensuring efficiency. This will include the sale of government shares in some SOEs companies via listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. We will work with the Securities and Exchange Commission to develop the regulations governing asset-backed instruments, including real estate investment trusts and mortgage-backed securities, and enable the pensions industry to support the development of these asset classes and other alternative investment schemes. Mr. Speaker, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority will be moved back to be under the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. This is because, just like the SEC and SNP, the MPRA, Financial Services Regulator, of the pensions industry that also deals with labor issues. Pensions are about finance, financial contributions, financial investments, and benefit payouts. All the above financial decisions affecting employees, hence the decision to have joint oversight of the two ministries. MPRA will in addition be completely weaned off this 2017. Building an entrepreneurial nation. Mr. Speaker, this government seeks to build an entrepreneurial nation. The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan is a flagship initiative which will be the primary vehicle for providing an integrated support for early-stage startup businesses and small businesses, focusing on the provision of business development services, business incubators, and funding for youth-owned businesses. The NEIP will enable qualified new businesses to emerge and give them the space to grow, position them to attract financing, and provide business development support services. The program will assist these businesses to secure markets during the critical formative years and tap into a wide supply chain and network during their growth periods. National Industrial Revitalization Program, a stimulus package for industry. Growth in the industrial and manufacturing sector has significantly declined over time, contributing to an unprecedented level of unemployment. This situation could be attributed to a variety of factors, including, but not limited to, the high cost of capital, limited access to long-term financing, high cost of electricity and unreliable power supply, limited access to land for industrial activity, as well as weak logistics and infrastructure support for industrial development. It is against that the National Industrial Revitalization Program with a stimulus package for industry will be established to provide technical and financial support to existing companies that are currently distressed or operational challenges but are deemed to be viable to benefit from the stimulus package, which will put them in operation in the shortest possible time. Industrializing Ghana from the ground up. One district, one factory. One district, one factory implementation, of which will commence this year, will be closely intertwined with our National Industrialization Revitalization Program. It's designed as a comprehensive program for rural industrialization, driven by the private sector and involving the setting up of at least one medium to large-scale factory in each of the administrative districts of our country. It is aimed at creating massive youth employment, especially in rural and peri-urban communities, add value to the natural resources of each district, ensure even and spatial spread of industries, to stimulate economic growth in all parts of the country, enhance the production of local substitutes for imported goods, and promote exports and increase foreign exchange earnings. It has the potential, Mr. Speaker, of transforming the industrial landscape of Ghana and will contribute significantly to the socio-economic development agenda of the country. We estimate that over 350,000 direct and indirect jobs will be created from all parts of the country as a result of the implementation of this program. National Identification Program. Mr. Speaker, the benefits of having a modern, reliable, and Mr. Speaker, nation, we have 5 loaves of bread, 2 fishes in these priority projects, and we have done this through prioritization of expenditures and planned improvement and efficiencies in government spending. Mr. Speaker, in addition to funding these significant number of programs, we have allocated over $700 million for CAPEX, 7 times more than was allocated last year. We have funded NHIS and SHS. We have provided immense tax reliefs, including restoration of teachers and nursing training allowance. We have provided tax reliefs. We provided tax reliefs for the sector, including our friends in Aboso Kind and all other socio-economic classes. We have reduced levies on petroleum products.